most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Question Reality. Question Reality with Priscilla Leona. Priscilla Leona. Only on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome to Question Reality. I'm your host, Priscilla Leona, and we are coming to you live from Studio City, California. Our show is broadcast every Sunday from 5 p.m. to 5:50 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If this is your first time tuning in, our show will help you to question your career reality. This show is for you if you were, are, or might be considering a career in the entertainment industry. Our guest will provide advice, resource information, and tips on how and what it takes to successfully pursue a career in show business. Now, our guests work in various professions of entertainment, so that means we will definitely have someone on the show sooner or later from a career that you are interested. Now, if you want to check out our past guests, read their bios, listen to their interview instantly, or download one of the shows, go to the LA Talk Radio website. You're already there if you're listening live. So it's latalkradio.com, just in case. And you want to click the link at the top of the website that says Channel 1, scroll down, and look for the graphic of our show, Question Reality, and click on the link. And this will take you directly to our archive page, where you can view the list of past guests. So we got a lot of really exciting guests, a lot of award winners, people definitely that you want to check out. So our shows are also available for download on iTunes under the podcast section. So when you go to iTunes, you just go to the podcast section, type in Question Reality Radio in the search box, and we should pop up. There are a couple of Question Realities. I got a couple emails where they were typing it in and it went to some show that was a gospel show. So that's not us. So Question Reality, you got to add that little radio in there. All right. So if you want to learn about future guests, you want to visit the official Question Reality website, not the LA Talk Radio website, but our website, and that is questionrealityshow.com. questionrealityshow.com. I guess I should have told you to get a little pen and paper before the show if you're going to be doing some writing, which you should get a pen and paper right now because I got some good information coming to you in a minute. But today we have a guest, lovely, beautiful, gorgeous girl for you men who are looking to look at or feast your eyes upon a beautiful creature. Her name is Georgia Reed, and she is an actress and a model, and she's going to be with us today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Georgia in a minute, but first, I have got a wonderful, wonderful advertisement for you, some great information. Tuesday, March 29th, from 7:15 to 9 o'clock. Tuesday, March 29th, 7:15 to 9 o'clock at the Exposure Studio at 741 North Cahuenga Boulevard, and that's in L.A. Spencer Willis with the Don Buchwald Agency. This is a bi-coastal agency. They have a star-studded client list. He is looking for some talent, and if you feel that you've got the talent, you're ready at a point in your career where you're ready to go in front of a person who could put you on the Walk of Fame. He will be again at the casting workout, and he's with Don Buchwald and Associates, and they're theatrical. And you can visit the website just to get more details. thecastingworkout.com, and they have complete details, but just a little bit about DBA, and that's Don Buchwald and Associates, not the other DBA, which is an advertising agency. It's emerged as an industry leader in 1977, and this is when Don Buchwald had 5 associates, and they founded the company, and they have since grown to become one of the leading bi-coastal agencies in the United States, and they are a full-service talent agency, and they offer representation in all areas of the entertainment industry. So it's not just limited to actors, which is really great, because sometimes people are singer actors, sometimes they're dancer actors, sometimes they do all 3. They're the triple threat, and this is a great agency for you if you have more than just the one talent. So yay. Now, they need you to perform a prepared scene or a monologue, 2 minutes or under, and or you can do a cold read scene from the files that they'll have there. So I think everybody as an actor, you really should have a prepared monologue, 1 theatrical, 1 comedic. You should have that right under your belt. Just it's mandatory as far as I'm concerned. Some people would argue, but hey, I say you definitely need that. Now, if you bring a prepared scene, a reader will be there. They're going to provide it, so don't worry about that. But be sure to bring 2 copies, and you want to arrive at 7:15, by 7:15 to check in. So again, Tuesday, March 29th from 7:15 to 9 p.m., the Exposure Studio, 741 North Cahuenga, Spencer Willis with the Don Buchwald Agency. And you want to find out more details, you want to go to thecastingworkout.com, okay? So that should be very exciting. If anybody gets discovered, remember, you heard about it from me here on Question Reality. Trying to sound hip, not working out. Okay, so now we're moving on to Georgia Reed. Woohoo! Now, Georgia is as I was just talking about earlier, she is an actress dancer, but she was originally a dancer. Now, she wanted to make the move from dancing to acting when she was rehearsing a technically challenging role of Giselle in the 50th anniversary for the Alexandra Ballet. And rather than being concerned with the physicality of the performance, she was preoccupied with the internal life of the character. And it's like I always say, sometimes you're doing one thing in life and you discover something completely different about yourself. You can be doing something that you think you really want to be doing, but then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I actually like doing something else. So keep your eyes and ears open for things like that, little signs. A lot of people let those signals go by and they don't know why they keep feeling a certain way about something. It goes over their head completely. So you really have to be in tune with what you like, what you don't like, and what fits your personality. So since that time, she successfully made the transition to the acting world, first with formal training, off-Broadway theater, and independent film roles in New York City. And since moving to the West Coast, she's done TV, film roles in LA and on location. And Georgia, just to let you know, she began her performing life at age 5. And she started out playing a ladybug in ballet in Atlanta, Georgia, which is kind of cute. I thought I wanted to bring that up. And her first paid job was with the St. Louis Opera in St. Louis, potato, Opera Theater in Bizet's The Pearl Fishers, followed by positions in the Cincinnati Ballet Company, the Kansas City Ballet Company, and then Ballet Hispanico in New York City before she actually decided to change her focus to acting. So this is our very first guest that was a ballet dancer and decided to make the transition to acting. So that's why I thought she'd be really great to come on the show, because I know a lot of actors that were dancers and they're trying to make that transition. So come on the show. Join Georgia. Georgia will be the first, but you can come on too. For some reason, they feel that they have to stick to more focused on the dancing because they spent their life dancing and they're afraid to to make that transition. But if Georgia can do it, you can do it. And there have been so many that have been successful. So now people who don't know any better sometimes are surprised that Georgia's professional career began in dance, and she's often called upon for rebel tough girl roles, which are admittedly at odds with her, I guess, her ballerina beginnings, but she herself is comfortable with demonstrating grace or bravado. So I guess, you have to be well-rounded. The more talent you have, the more roles you can do, the more parts you're going to get. So sometimes you can even do them at the same time. So now some of her acting roles have included feature films, Aaron Loves Kendra, Everything Unspoken, Absolute Trust, First Singular Person, and Santorini Blue. Ooh, I like that. That sounds like a good color for a bedroom, Santorini Blue. Now, that was opposite Richard Belzer, one of my favorite actors, and Dan Florek, which, as you know, are from Law & Order, Special Victims Unit, one of my favorite shows ever. And Murder by the Book, she was in that. That was on True TV. 1,000 Ways to Die. So was, my friend Christina DeRosa was on 1,000 Ways to Die. That was on Spike TV. And she's been on CSI New York, which, of course, is CBS. One of my favorite shows also. I don't like CSI. Did I say CSI New York? I hope I did. That is one of my favorite shows. I don't like the one from Las Vegas. I love the Miami one. I love the New York one. I just can't. I could never get into the Las Vegas one. I don't know why. Something's weird over there. Currently, Georgia trains at Ivana Chubik's masterclass in Hollywood and is acting, or was at the time that I got the information. We'll find out what she's doing now. But she was acting in 2 webisode series, one called Monday Morning and the other one called End of the Line. And she is repped theatrically and commercially by diverse talent group. Now, one of the things I wanted to bring up with Georgia is I had been speaking with her about, I think I asked her if she was SAG or non-union. And she had told me, and I hope I'm correct about this, she was SAG eligible. So I want to talk to her today. One of the questions that I got from an email recently was that a girl wrote, her name was Emily, and she said, I have a friend that says that she has an agent, but she's non-union, and I think she's lying. Can you tell me whether or not you can have an agent and be non-union? So I want to actually talk to Georgia about that today. We're going to find out. I mean, I know the answer to that, but let's explore it from Georgia together, shall we? I don't want to just tell you. That wouldn't be any fun. And we'll find out how she actually did it for those of you who are non-union and want to get an agent. Oh, I'm giving it away. If, in fact, you can do it. Oh, I don't know. Oh, gee. Whoo. Okay, so without further ado, let's find out if Georgia has fallen asleep on my intro to her bio. Georgia, are you with us?
I'm with you. What a great introduction. Thanks, Priscilla. I love it.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, hey, it's your bio, so I'm glad to hear that you love yourself and you're very happy with all your achievements, right?
Well, you have to be. You have to be your biggest fan to keep it going. If there's no one else out there, you got to do it yourself to make it happen, I think. So
that's right. And actors are their biggest fans, right? Nobody's a bigger fan than the actor of themselves, right? Hey, Georgia, I wanted to find out. I start out with this question with everybody. I've gotten excellent feedback, so I just have kept it. Now, when Georgia Reed, I know we briefly talked about you discovering that you wanted to be an actress at a very young age, but take us through that. One of my very first questions is, when you were little Georgia Reed, when did you actually know that you wanted to get into a career in entertainment? I would imagine it the first time being dance, but tell us how you even knew that that's what you wanted to do instead of, say, be a doctor, a lawyer, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I played a lot of dress-up growing up, and I can remember my very first show I put on was with my best friend in the neighborhood. We put on that song Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper, yeah!
Girl, come on, Cyndi Lauper.
If it's 80s
write that down, people. You must listen to Cyndi Lauper's music.
If it's 80s music, I'm all over it, so yeah.
See?
Yeah. And then what happened?
Yeah, we put on a little show for our parents down there. We're dancing around, and I remember it very clearly, and I couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 years old, and I just had a blast doing it. And I knew then, anytime music came on, I wanted to put on a show with friends, become other characters. I was really into the fantasy movies. The movies for me growing up were like The Never-Ending Story and The Labyrinth and, all of that, just playing make-believe and playing dress-up. That's what actors do. That's what dancers do. It's all about make-believe. It's great.
Now, since you became a dancer first, so you didn't go to a ballet and become sparked with interest by seeing dancing first?
No, believe it or not, really, my mom, and I've asked her this several times, and she said the first thing she remembered was me bouncing in my seat in the high chair to the music. And so they realized I had such good rhythm, they decided to put me in dance class and see if I liked it. So that's why I started in it, and I loved it.
Hey, mothers out there, look at your children's bouncing. They may be dancers and you don't even know it, so you have to look at the rhythmic timing of them bouncing. That is excellent. I love that. See, you can find out what your child is by rhythmic bouncing in the high chair. Now, okay, so you're a child at that point, but we do have some sort of sway over what we do with our parents, even if we have to throw a temper tantrum. So what steps what steps did you take towards pursuing that career goal at a very young age?
Well, it's interesting. I was born in Atlanta, and then we moved to St. Louis, Missouri, where my dad had a new job. And when we got there, I told my mom I wanted to go to a serious ballet studio. Now, shortly after that, I also took acting lessons at school, and I loved it. But my dance teacher said, if you want to make it as a ballerina, you have to make a choice and do this one thing. Now, I really didn't have any, clue about what else was out there. I just knew that I loved ballet, and I thought, well, if this is my shot to do it, and this was at like 10 years old, I was making this choice. I was like, okay, forget everything else. I'm just going to do the dance and see how far I can go with it, and especially with ballet. So that's what I did. And I would still take acting lessons and singing on the side, but not to the extent that it took away from my dance classes. And by the time I graduated from high school, I was doing 20-plus hours a week with rehearsals and performances and classes and all of that. So it's a big time commitment, but it was worth it.
Now, when you were taking all of the acting classes, and you knew that you were going to go into entertainment, how did your parents feel about your career choice? Were they supportive, and if so, what advice did they give you?
Well, I think for my parents, then they've said this since, they would have supported me no matter what I did. And they made an interesting comment. My ballet teacher, Miss Alexandra Zaharias, she's just one of the most amazing ballet teachers. She's, well known and well respected in the industry. And she said to my mother at one point during class, she said, I wouldn't be surprised after Georgia has a career in ballet that she doesn't go into acting, because part of the reason I get cast in those rebel roles and things like that is I do have a very strong personality, and it would sometimes pop up in dance class, and I love to cut up in class and do lots of characters. And so she knew even before I did that beyond the ballet career, a potential acting career awaited me. So my parents, they were supportive no matter what I did. When I said I needed to do ballet, they said, great, go do ballet. When I said I needed to do acting, I was at that point, over the age of 21, but they said, we support you. So it's been wonderful having them on my side no matter what my decision. I think that makes a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely. And especially financially, girl, you know what I mean?
Yes, of course.
You need the purse strings. So, okay, so obviously you decided to pursue a career in dance first, or dance acting. And usually if you're a dancer, you go to New York. So you trotted off to New York. Tell us about that whole experience and how hard it was, or how hard it was not, depending on your experience, to get jobs in that field.
Well, I had, when I was dancing with Cincinnati Ballet, I actually sustained a big injury in my left foot, and it started to bother me, but if you've seen Black Swan, it is true. Some of us do dance straight through our injuries, and I would recommend to all dancers out there, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Stop, get your injury healed properly. 5 weeks out of your life won't kill you. There's plenty of jobs out there. And at the time, I didn't want to get fired. I wanted to keep dancing. But eventually, I realized that I wasn't going to be able to keep up the ballet company forever. That's 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's a lot of work. But I didn't quite know. I just knew that there was something in New York waiting for me. And I think in the back of my head, I thought, well, maybe if I go to New York City, acting will be a little bit closer of a possibility. But I went under the guise of getting a job at Ballet Hispanico. Now, Ballet Hispanico is an incredible dance company, and believe it or not, they're a modern dance company. They do have ballet in them, but I went literally without any research or anything. I took $200 to $400 in a suitcase and went to New York City on a recommendation to join the company. I didn't watch their repertoire or anything, and the day after I signed the contract, expecting to be in a ballet company, I realized I was in a modern company. Oh, my gosh, what a challenge. Oh, my gosh. My next piece of advice for all the listeners listening in, do your research. I had a really wonderful time working with the company, but ultimately I wasn't the right fit for it, and I finished out the season and then got into acting right after that. But if I had known what the repertoire was, I would have been better prepared. So it was a really big learning lesson.
Georgia, I hate to interrupt you, and I don't know if I don't know what's going on, but you're cutting out, and we're only hearing every other word. I don't know if you're walking around or.
I'm not. No, can you hear me now?
Well, I hear you, but it sounds like you're. See, this is the whole problem that we have when people do interviews on cell phones, because I probably should have insisted on a landline. That's my fault. Because right now it sounds like you're in a tunnel, and then we're only catching every other word. Hopefully,
I'm not moving. I'm
that's weird. You must have Sprint then, because
No, it's AT&T, girl.
Oh my God! All right. Well, you sound better now. I don't know if there was like something happening, or I don't know what it was, but it was just horrible. You were cutting in and out, and you were giving such great advice. I don't know.
Oh, that's okay.
Know.
Well, let me give do you want me to give a quick recap? Just on going to New York City. Yeah, absolutely.
Please,
so,
you sound good now.
Yeah, for New York City, I'll say this. The challenges for getting roles there, I think it's the same as anywhere else. You need to do your research. You need to be constantly working on your craft. And most importantly, networking. And by networking, it's not just going out and handing your business card to people randomly, but really taking an interest in projects and then following up on people whose work you admire, shows that you're interested in, building that database, and then staying in touch with people. And I'll tell you, I've gotten a lot of my work through referrals, not through auditions, and it's been an amazing blessing. I got my Ballet Hispanico opportunity through a referral from a director back in the Midwest. So that's what I would suggest.
So before you got cut off, and again, you might sound fine to the people out there. I don't know if it's just on my end, because I'm keeping in communication with the radio station. We're doing this show remotely, people, and he says that it sounds good on his end. So hopefully it'll come out and it wasn't cut off. But in case it was I wanted to. The last thing I heard you say was you went to New York unprepared, and you didn't check anything out, and you thought you were signing with a classical
yes, with the
company,
exactly,
and you ended up signing up with a modern company. Now, for people who don't know what that means, that's a huge difference, right? So tell us, how did that happen?
Well, because I hadn't done my research, I literally, like I said, I got a referral from a director in the Midwest, and I said, great, that'll be wonderful. And I went there and literally went into the audition, and the audition was a little bit contemporary, but the dancers all looked very ballet style, and I wanted a job so badly, Priscilla, that I just took it. And I'm grateful I did now, because it got me in New York City. But I'm telling you, you have to really think about what you want to do with your career and what you really want to accomplish. And the big learning lesson for me was that wasn't the direction I wanted to go in. And that is what precipitated my getting into acting class. Directly after that, I just decided hardcore, you know what, this is my opportunity. I'm in one of the best cities in the world to study acting. I'm going to do this now. And from then on, I've done my research on everything. Every audition I go on, I look at everything before I go, because I think it's important to know those things.
Now, when you were in New York, oh my God, I see poor little people go there thinking they're going to make their fame and fortune, and they come back with their tail tucked between their legs, a lot like when they come to LA. So how did you survive there? What steps did you take to supplement your income? How did you live? I mean, it's rough in New York. You think living in LA is expensive? Hell to the no. You don't know how expensive it is to live in New York. So tell us,
it's twice as expensive.
how do you survive as an actor dancer in New York? Tell us, what did you do?
I did everything. I waited tables. I sold sample nutrition bars. I did, clerical work. I think that everyone I've spoken to, they won't tell you this in the magazines, but just about everybody in this business has worked a day job while they were making their career as an actor. And there's no shame in that. I think it's important to find the one job that'll have the most flexible schedule and the highest amount of pay. And usually waiting tables, that is the best one. So that's what I did. And then also living in the boroughs. It's no longer, against the law to live in Queens or Brooklyn. Most of my friends still live in Queens or Brooklyn, and they're wonderful neighborhoods, and you can get great living spaces for cheap. So that also was a big help. And then I think you just have to watch your P's and Q's and budget, what you want to do with your money. I knew people who every night went out and would spend $200 on alcohol to go out and drink. And the money can go fast if you don't pay attention. But if you want a career as an actor, there's plenty of time to party down the road. So to that extent, at least, I think. That's what I did. So
did you have a roommate situation? Did you live by yourself?
Yes, I did. Oh, no. I had roommates. I think also, Priscilla, a really important thing is to have a good family and friend base. I had lots of very close friends there who were also in the business, so we could meet and talk about our progress, what our challenges were. That saying, no man is an island, I think is very true. And also, I called my family at least once or twice a week to touch base, let them know what was going on, just to hear their voices. I think that having a strong family and friend foundation makes all the difference. When you have a bad audition, you have people you can call and talk to cheer you up and say, no, keep going, it's okay. And then when you have successes, you also have people you can share your successes with who will appreciate it and believe in you, and they're not trying to tear you down or ulterior motives. They really just want the best for you. So that made a big difference for me as well.
So you're in New York. Tell us about your trials and tribulations.
Oh, boy. Well, I think... Yep. Am I still there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Okay.
No, you're cutting in and out, but apparently Ronan says everything will be fine because he says you sound fine. I think it's just cutting out on my end. So go ahead and tell us about things that happened to you. What was the hardest thing about living in New York and auditioning, and how do you where do you go to find the best auditions? Do you do newspapers, word of mouth? Tell us, how do you go get work if you move to New York to pursue a career?
I think first and foremost, you want to find the right acting studio for you, so you can not only get training that it's like working out with dance class. Acting class is good for you too because your acting skills, that's a muscle. Being open and available for the scene, where people think that, it's not a muscle. Singing has a muscle and dance has a muscle, but acting has a muscle too, and it's your availability to the characters. Not only that, but also a good acting class will put you in touch with fellow actors who are also striving to make it in the business. They'll have contacts and connections, your teacher, showcases. I think that a lot of actors move to New York and immediately go into casting director workshops, and I think those are very valuable for an opportunity to meet casting directors. However, if you don't have the talent to back it up, and not just, in your craft as a Shakespeare actor, but also in understanding your product, your type, your marketability. There's all kinds of classes on all of that. There's books. If you don't have the money to do the classes, there are books talking about your type and how to market yourself. You can go to the library and do that. And then now with being online, there's so many opportunities to do research on where the local events are happening, acting seminars, screenings of films. You just want to go and soak in as much as you can. And along with that, by living a full life and doing things that you like to do, such as, let's say, you go horseback riding on the weekend, or maybe you just go to Central Park and hang out with friends, you never know who you're going to meet there or run into and start networking with, and they may know somebody who knows somebody else who's doing a project who needs your type. I think that people often start with Backstage, either East or West. That's an excellent resource. It's a great place to start. From there, I think you should definitely be on Actors Access online, and you have to use your best judgment for which auditions are appropriate for you to go for and which aren't. I think definitely join Central Casting and the local extra castings places, because that'll get you on set and get your feet wet, and you never know who you're going to meet there as well. It'll also let you see what it takes to be a professional actor, and if you're being professional, chances are people will notice. And they may pick you out of the crowd and give you a line, or they may make you a featured extra. So all of these opportunities, it's not about getting that one big break that's going to be, the one thing that will make your whole career dreams come true. It's about building your brand and building a following behind you. And every time you meet somebody, I believe it takes 3 times meeting somebody to start building a relationship. You're just building that foundation and building your fan base. And pretty soon you'll think it happened overnight, but most actors out there, they've been doing it for 10, 20 years. And then all of a sudden they just appear out of nowhere. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah. We see that all the time. All of a sudden, a show will come on at, I just started watching a show called Breakout Kings because I was a huge fan of Prison Break, and I'm looking at these actors, and I'm going, I don't know any of these actors. Where did they come from? So then, of course, I go immediately to IMDb, and I say, he was on that show, she was on that show, because, of course, you may not have recognized them then, but then they appear, they're not going to cast them as principal actors unless they've had a semi-strong background. So they didn't just appear off the street. They've been working on their craft behind the scenes, or working, not behind the scenes literally, but behind the scenes in that you didn't see them because they didn't have their own show. But for example, I started watching V, and I'm like, oh my God, this woman, the one who plays Anna, she's such a great actress. Where did she come from? And so I had to look her up, and then she was on Stargate and this and that, and all of the shows with the exception of Stargate, I had not watched any of those movies. I didn't see those shows, but she worked her way up. So just because you don't know where they came from somewhere. So, interesting.
It's so true, Priscilla.
Now let me ask you, what just like one day people are going to turn on the TV and say, Georgia Reed, where'd she come from? I don't know her. I don't know. Where did she come from? Okay, so we were talking about all the do's. Let's talk about some of the don'ts when pursuing a career in show business. A lot of people don't know what they're not supposed to do, and so they do it. Like I have a friend who's, God bless him, won't mention his name, but oh my God, he thinks he's the greatest thing since Campbell Soup as an actor. He is, and I'm telling you, and I tell him this to his face, I say, you are a narcissist. You are so self-involved, because he will meet a casting director or an agent or somebody, and he will spend like 15, 20, actually he'll spend as long as you will stand in front of him telling you how great he is. And you don't do this, but he does not know you're not supposed to do this because he's so out of touch with reality. God bless him. I love him. And I've told him all of this to his face, so he knows this. But he's like, his viewpoint, as I have found with a couple actors, is that if you don't pump yourself up and tell people how great you are, then they're not going to know. Now, that is arguably something, but there's a way you go
but it's not the right way.
Exactly. So tell us what the don'ts are as far as you're concerned.
Well, first of all, I think when you're talking to anyone in a conversation, really people are usually thinking about or talking about themselves. And I don't know about you, but for me, when someone comes up to me and says, so tell me about you, I'm flattered. Well, it goes both ways. And I think that, like I said at the beginning, yes, you have to believe in yourself when no one else does, but that doesn't mean you have to hype yourself. You're good enough just as you are. So first don't would be yakking about yourself. Who cares? The great thing when you're in a conversation with somebody, you've listened to them, you're interested in what they have to say, you're not faking it, because I'm telling you, people can smell a fake a mile away. I smell it when someone's talking to me, but their eyes are roaming around the room looking for someone more important.
God, doesn't that happen out here? I was like, I'm from the East Coast, and I moved out here, and I'm like, why are these people looking around? Do they have ADD or ADHD? What's going on? Yeah, it's so rude.
If you truly want to speak to this person, let's say it's Steven Spielberg is standing there. Now, if you're going to walk up because you want him to hire you, he's going to smell that all over you. If you're walking up to him because you really want to know what it was like shooting Jaws, you really want to know what got him into it, and you have your focus on him, and there's no one else in the room because, oh my gosh, it's Steven Spielberg. Well, everyone should be treated that way. If you don't feel that way about the person, don't bother talking to them. But the great thing is, someone like Steven Spielberg or whoever, if they're really interested in you, they'll find out. They will ask you for your business card. The moment will come, and then they'll find out about you online. Trust me, especially in this day and age of the Internet, if you're an actor and you're on the basic sites, they'll find you, and they will come after you if they truly want you or need your product for that particular thing they're working on. But again, it's about building relationships, long-term relationships, and you have to build the trust. Another don't, I think, is trying to be someone you're not. I think a lot of people come out here saying, I've got to be the pretty actress. I know a couple of big-name actors, not personally, but I've heard their story. Molly Shannon, Rainn Wilson from The Office, both of them, when they came out here, their agents tried to make them look like the hot, sexy new thing. And they were like, this isn't me, okay? And the minute they really just embraced their awesome nerdiness and quirkiness, they booked roles left and right. You have to understand who you are and trust that that's good. That's the good thing. You don't have to be hot chick number 9,999. There's already 9,999 of them out here. And if you really are the hot chick, there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to really know what your type is and then be that. Be that 24/7. You're a walking billboard for your brand. So those are a couple of don'ts.
And that's
don't be a jerk. Don't be selfish.
That's called branding, people. Know your brand. Know your type. And don't try to fit yourself into a mold that you really want to be if people are saying, well, I don't know if that's for you. I mean, come on. You can't do that. Yeah. It's just like we see this a lot of times on American Idol. These singers come on and they're trying to sing in a genre that is not compatible to their voice. And no matter what you tell them, they still try to do it. But then if they take someone's advice and switch it to, say they want to sing pop, but their voice really is more suited to country, and they don't want to sing country because they don't think country's as hip as pop, but when they sing it, oh my God, something glorious happens. So you might fit a type, people, that you might not want to see yourself as, but if it's going to get you to where you want to go, then you need to embrace it. Embrace the part, your character. So, and that happens a lot with looks. First, practice in front of the mirror, do different looks, find out, do some different characters, explore by yourself if you're a beginning actor, and before you want to try it out on people and see, and then you move on to the headshots. Get your different looks, do 4 different looks, and see what works for you. And ask people if you're a beginning actor and you're in Oklahoma, say how do you see me if there was a show on television, a sitcom? Say you want to be a sitcom actor. Say what show would you see me on, or what character? Ask other people because they know. Sometimes they know you better than you know yourself, correct?
It's true. That's absolutely right, Priscilla. And the more you can ask people outside of your family circle, the better. Strangers on the street, even if you're like, hey, how old do you think I am? You'll be surprised what people might say to you. They may say you're a totally different age range than you are, but that'll help you understand your brand and your type.
Yes.
There's no wrong answer.
Yes. Oh, that's a good point that you brought up, because a lot of people, especially the females, that we want to be playing roles 10 to 20 years younger than what we are. But when, I cannot tell you how many times when I was casting a project, and of course casting directors professionally will tell you this as well, but even with little, independent films, if you cast someone from a headshot, when they walk in, you expect to see them looking like the headshot. I would have women come in from a headshot where the character was supposed to be, 18 to 25. They would be walking in 40 years old. They'd say the headshot was from like the 80s, and they'd be walking in,
right.
And they were like in their 40s, and their faces pulled back, and it was all windblown, and they're like, well, with a lot of makeup and lighting, I think I could look like that. But no, you cannot do that, people. You have to look exactly like your headshot.
Yep, I agree. I absolutely agree. And there's all kinds of really great roles that aren't in the 18 to 25 category. They are out there, believe it or not, people.
Yes.
So, again, embrace it.
Right, and thank God for more shows like Glee, where they're casting large people. They're casting,
yes.
Of course, the guy is not crippled, but and that's actually called crip face when you have an actor that can walk and plays a part, which the disabled community is in an uproar about. But at least they're doing the representation of having a handicapped person. So I think that when the shows that we have now, they're casting for all different characters, so there is a part for everybody, right?
It's true. There's no better time to get into acting, I think. For anyone.
Right. That's right. Good point. There's no better time because they are more open and accepting, and SAG is actively working. They have a whole department that is encouraging, and they have regular meetings with writers, and they're encouraging them to write parts for disabled people, for large people, for more minorities, Asians. Yeah. So there are parts coming, and there's just so many more opportunities out there. Now, what characteristic traits do you feel that it takes to be successful in the entertainment business? Like patience, resilience, et cetera.
Yes. Well, definitely patience. I think, like I said earlier, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I think that one of the best pieces of advice I got from a major casting director was, are you living a full life? That means taking time to take a trip. I know actors who are like, I can never leave LA because the minute I book a plane ticket, they're going to book me on something. Well, guess what? There's going to be more roles when you come back. It's always going to be there. It's not going anywhere. Take time to see your family. Go on that trip. Make sure you're doing fun things for yourself. And the more you live that full life, the more interesting a person you will be, and therefore a more interesting and rounded actor. I think that reality, how would you put that? Question reality. It's about being realistic, again, about the business and knowing that you're invested in this for the long term. It's not, if I don't make it in 2 years, I'm giving up. Well, what if a month after that would have been when you got the really great role? If you're continuing to live a full life, you can go for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. But if you're not, if you're just hanging on the line for that one role, my Lord, you'll be burned out in 6 months. Who wouldn't?
Absolutely.
So I think also flexibility is really important. There's going to be a lot of different opinions and things flying at you. If you're just flexible with what people say and say, okay, that's great what you think, but I'm going to, sift through all of it and then make my decision and sort of go with the flow. That also, I know a lot of very rigid people who say, no, like what we were talking about earlier, I'm only going to play characters who are 20 and, 90210, and if I can't play those, I'm just not going to do it. Well, that's not very flexible thinking, and you may be missing out on an amazing role on Law and Order. Who knows?
Oh, and one of my pet peeves are the actors that think that they are too good to play extra roles or background actors. Oh my God, it drives me up the wall. As soon as I hear someone that even has that mentality, I think, okay, you are going to have a very limited career in the entertainment business. And for them to not have the foresight to understand, I mean, look at how many people have been cast there's so many people that have been cast doing extra roles. I mean, it's unlimited. With the very first being Jean Harlow, and that's the first person that comes to mind of that story breaking, that she was an extra. She did so many background parts. My God, she was in City Lights with Charlie Chaplin. I can't even find her, but I know that that's one of the films that catapulted her into stardom, being in that movie, and people don't even know where she was. I've seen the movie 3 times and I can't find her. But it's very, very, very important that you take that as an opportunity to study how things are done on the set, how things work.
True.
You learn so much, and the people that you work with, other background actors, might end up fast forwarding into a career, and hey, they were your friend and they're going to help you out.
Yep. You never know where the opportunities are going to come from. So you have to look into every opportunity.
Yeah, and anybody without the background actors, you can't have anything. There is no, come on. Unless you're doing a 2-act play, you can't, you really can't do a big production without background actors. It's impossible. It doesn't exist. Not going to happen, people. Okay, so we're almost ready to end it, but we want to find out what's going on now. What exciting projects are you working on now, or are you going to be working on in the future? Tell us what's going on.
No, thanks for asking. Well, I just had a really great week, and this will, I'll just quick cover that question from earlier about, is it important to be union or not? It is not. I am SAG eligible, but I got my agent when I was completely non-union. That again goes back to the whole, if you're really being yourself, truly authentically yourself and your product, if they need it, if the agent sees they need your product and they like you, it's kind of like dating, they'll ask you out on a date, and then they'll want to commit. And then, here I am with an amazing agency, Diverse Talent Group. I went on 2 auditions in the last week, the first for the lead role in a new theatrical production of One Night with Janis Joplin, which is premiering in Portland, Oregon. I got to go in for the role of Janis Joplin. I got to sing her songs, dress up like her. I got a call back that day. And then next thing, I went in for a feature film, also for a supporting role, and got a call back that day for that as well. And I got both of those through my agent. So I feel really blessed with the progress going on. And it just goes to show, if they like you, they like you, they like you. Any excuse, I'm not old enough, I'm too old, I'm not union, I am union. There is no schmush, forget it. Those are all excuses. The fact is, if you're really doing your work and making it happen, it'll all work out. I truly believe that.
And just to point out that a lot of talent agents are taking on non-union people because they can get 20% of whatever you make. Whereas if you're SAG, they can only get up to 10%. So they don't have a problem taking you on as non-union. And some agents, the agents who really know what they're doing, they'll say, yeah, I'm going to take this person on, because a lot of people book non-union commercials. They book industrials. They book a lot of stuff. And your agent legally is entitled to, if you're non-union, up to 20%. But if you're SAG, they can't get any more than 10%. So of course they'll take you on if you're good and you're booking things. And it gives you an opportunity to do a lot of different projects. And a lot of people in this recession are preferring to cast non-union people. people. So again, that comes back to when you do get offered the chance to join SAG, that's a personal decision, because you might be working like a maniac doing non-union, and once you become SAG, you may not work as much. So that's going to have to be a decision that you make. So what are we going to see from you? Are we going to see anything good coming up? Anything going on, like TV? Anything to look out for? Web series? What happened with the web series you were doing?
Oh, yes, thanks for asking. The web series, they have finished editing the first 2 episodes, and those will be going live, I think, in the next month. It'll be at www.mondaymorningtheseries.com. The other webisode series, they are planning to shoot the pilot in about 2 months, I believe. We did the teaser shoot for it, so they're putting that up on their website, which is endoftheline.com. They're also all on Facebook. And also, there is a chance I will be reprising my role in Astra Dance, last year we performed at the $1 Million Theater downtown. That is a dancing and acting role, so I still do that. And then even the other night, Murder by the Book came on TV, and I saw my face on TV, so I'm on a couple of reruns, which is fun. But yeah, at this point, that is what's coming up, and I am keeping my fingers crossed for these 2 projects I just went on. So I'm really, really pleased with how the year has started out so far.
Well, I tell you one thing, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you giving us so much great advice. It is time to ring our ear and say goodbye, but thank you so much, Georgia Reed. You want to check out more about Georgia Reed, go to georgiareed.com. She's also on IBM, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week on Question Reality. Say goodbye, Georgia.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to Question Reality. Question Reality with Priscilla Leona. Only on LA Talk Radio.